Let's take a live look now at the White House, where President Trump is preparing to host a Rose Garden Club. It's a lunch for Senate Republicans while they brainstorm ways to end the government shutdown. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here with my co-hosts Emily Compagno and Kayleigh McEnany. Also joining us today, Lara Trump, host of My View with Lara Trump, and Bret Baier, anchor and executive editor of Special Report and the author of a brand new book, Theodore Roosevelt Biography to Rescue the American Spirit. It is a fabulous read. Today's lunch comes after the Senate's 11th attempt to pass a continuing resolution, which failed last night. Many Republicans say there's not much they can do when the Democrats are refusing to even come to the table because they have their own priorities, which are political.
The biggest driver of the shutdown is not health care or any other issue. It's the Democrats' far-left base. Left-wing activists demanded a showdown with President Trump, and Democrats fell in line.
You can't negotiate with someone that is more concerned about their primary than they are about reopening the government. And we all know that's what this is about.
A new report in Axios echoes what you just heard. The Democrats running for Congress don't think their party's leadership is doing enough to stop President Trump. Here's the headline. Enraged Democrat candidates turn on their own leaders, with one congressional candidate from Illinois saying, quote, Democrat leadership has to take a much stronger stand against the Trump administration, end of quote. Another candidate from Texas added this, I just think that the days of following a playbook are over. There's no way I'm following rules when other people aren't. If they go low, I'm going to the gutter. Well, it's honest. But Republicans say they're not just worried about the economic impact. Here's Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Every day that the government is shut down, it is a danger to the American people. We're in a nuclear arms race with adversaries right now. It can't be any more serious than this.
This is serious, and we are at a point now where we are seeing something with division that maybe we haven't seen in a really long time in this country.
That's true. And, you know, this lunch this afternoon is about thanking Republicans for staying on the same page, about singing from the same sheet of music. There are a few Republicans who are worried about the Obamacare subsidies ending at the end of the year and what that means politically down the road. And they've talked about that. But they're saying the president is ready to negotiate on that point.
Right.
But you have to open the government first. And that's the message, I think, from this afternoon at the luncheon.
So, Kayleigh, the Democrats have come to the table with something outside of the clean continuing resolution. So they've come to the table and they want $1.5 trillion for, yes, subsidies. Part of that would go to illegal aliens and you know, supplying them with health care they'd never probably had in their lifetimes. And then all these other sundry things on that list that last for a few weeks while we get to the next point where negotiations end again and they have to start all over with this process. We are on a hamster wheel. So now there's this idea, well, why don't we just end the filibuster for CRs?
Yeah, Harris, that's definitely being discussed, the nuclear option there. We'll see if that comes to fruition. You do have people like Congressman Mike Lawler who have put forward legislation saying, let's come to something here. Let's fix subsidies. Let's open the government. You have these voices in the Republican Party that are constructive. But the problem is they're rubbing up against the Democrat voices, many of which you just read. I mean, that quote, if they go low, I'm going to the gutter. I guess gone are the days of Michelle Obama where they go high. I'm not sure if those days were ever truly here, but at least they were in word rather than action. But I'm struck by what some of these Democrats have told the Hill. There was a Democratic senator. People are going to get hammered if we make a deal with Republicans. So they're going to get hammered by their base. They're admitting that. Another person familiar with Democrat in the Senate, their caucus thinking, said, we would have enough votes if people were not terrified of being sent to the guillotine. These people are so petrified of the same progressive left-wing flank that is animating the candidacy of Zoran Mamdani that they have to shut down the government and can't even get military families paid. It is a really striking place for the party.
So, Lara, are they right, though, on the left side of the aisle that this is kind of where they have to go into the gutter if necessary because there's such a fracture within their own party?
Well, that's certainly where they've ended up. They're pretty much in the gutter at this point. They don't have a leader. They don't really have a message or any sort of platform that they're offering to the American people. And I think that's what got them to this place, because when you have a president like Donald Trump who seems every single day to be winning, it's a very different time than it was during the first term. Kayleigh, you remember this. There was a lot of defense from the administration and from the president during the first term. He is on full offense. He's not tripped up by the mainstream media. He's not tripped up by the tricks and the sleight of hand from the Democrats anymore. He is in charge. He's delivering for the American people. And it must be hard to see him doing all these great things, like securing our border, like bringing down inflation and gas prices, like bringing peace around the world. So the Democrats have resorted to this as basically their only outlet. What else are they going to do?
You know, Emily, I'm not hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I missed like 5 seconds of TV in the last 2 weeks, but I'm not hearing Democrats say, we do care about those military members. We do care about the air traffic controllers who are going to keep working to keep the rest of us safe when we travel, even without paychecks. I'm hearing crickets.
I'm so grateful you brought that up. This weekend, I spent a lot of time with family and friends in Virginia and D.C., many of whom are double-income military government families. Ooh. And so the reply, when we talk about them not getting their paychecks, first of all, the paycheck they've received since it was the second half of the pay period, it was already diminished. And secondly, the point is it comes later. And when these families are trying to make their credit card payments, when their rent payments are automatic deposit withdrawal, that matters. And so the solve of, well, they'll get paid eventually doesn't do any good. And for many of them, they're continuing to go to work every day. They're putting their lives on the line and their service on the line for this country. And they have nothing from those Democrats in the way of acknowledgement or gratitude or any type of solution-oriented action that will show them that they actually do appreciate what they're doing. And I am fearful for those families. And a lot of them are struggling right now with their mentality and with their attitude to stay positive. And quick final point on that interesting candidate in the Democracy Party. I interviewed a few of the Hoboken, New Jersey candidates, among them Dr. Michael Russo. He's running for mayor, and his council members, his team. And they talked about the detriment that the party's leadership there in that state in particular has when they are kowtowing to the liberal left. And they're saying there's two consequences that they're not paying attention to. Number one, the concept that the federal government will withdraw funds, that President Trump, it will draw his ire, rightly
That's
so.
right.
He will refuse to fund us, rightly so. And secondly, that our constituents don't want that. All of their policies are economic based for their city and for their state. And yet they say that the rest of the leadership, or those that are on their way out, that it's all virtue signaling, and so it's leaving them to have to contend with the rubble.
You know, that is so critical, those 2 points. And I would add in just a quick third. What's going on in the Democrat Party, we've learned this week as well, and it's only Tuesday, is age-related too. Like that there's a push of the old guard by the younger candidates coming in, and we're starting to see that.
I think so. And definitely there is this sense that the left part of the party is dominating and sucking up a lot of oxygen. Just to go back, the healthcare costs are a big deal and will be a big deal. Mm-hmm. And Republicans are saying, we hear you, but let's fund the government now and talk about that before the end of the year.
So why won't Democrats do that? I mean, I don't believe that they honestly think that every Republican wouldn't make good on a promise. They're going to call hundreds of other people liars. I don't believe that. And in the Senate, I don't believe that they call the other 50 guys liars, House or Senate. So what's their play here? Why not say, yeah, okay, we'll sign the CR, and the very next hour we're gonna hash this out over health care? I
think they don't believe that it's going to happen, and that's, you know, it's where we are in politics. So they think Republicans are lying? That's where we are in politics.
Wow.
But just big picture, the reason we're here is because Obamacare, the marketplace, was supposed to drive costs down. Mm-hmm. Right. It never did, and that's why the subsidies were added to kind of shore everything up. Now they're coming to an end, and nobody wants to see anything come to an end.
Wow. You were.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. And you also, I would just add politically, you have Schumer, who has a bad nightmare in his mind, the deja vu from the March time when he made a deal with Republicans, got tremendous backlash, and he's staring down a potential primary from AOC, where she has touted polls that show her up by double digits. So,
look, we are waiting right now, and you see me looking off to the corner of my eye because we're in bars right now, but we know that there is in the Rose Garden coming up going to be this meeting between the president and senators, Republican senators. We've got a little bit of that shot up now. And as soon as we see the president come out, we're going to go to this live. So I've been told, and I want to ask our team in the control room now, how close are we? Are we inside of a 2-minute warning for any of this? They're going to talk. Okay. Okay, we're within the 2. So as we look at this, Laura, oh, you see Senator Lindsey Graham there. I mean, everybody is coming to the table to say, as Brett put so eloquently, they're going to stick together on this.
And I think that's such a beautiful thing to see from the Republican Party. This is a completely different party than it was the day Donald Trump came down the golden escalator in Trump Tower. He has united this party. He has given this party backbone. We know how to fight now, and we know how to win now as a party. And I think it is an incredible thing to see. I also love seeing those beautiful umbrellas there that remind me of the Mar-a-Lago Club and Trump Bedminster. Those are always the best to see. He's really done a great job with that Rose Garden out there as well.
Emily.
Yeah, you know, we've talked about how, I feel that this president, for once, has sort of taken up the space of the executive authority. And rather than being tepid and timid in the way of executing the mandate of the American people and the will, he's actually showing us what that authority looks like. And it includes, I think, investing in the structure of the White House, which is the people's house. And it's notable. Obviously, no taxpayer funds are covering that, but I think it's exciting for us to see that, you know, you're supposed to leave something better than when you found it, and the stewardship, what that means, and I think we're seeing that honor on a daily basis.
I want to tell the audience what they're seeing. So we have a couple of different angles from the activity in the Rose Garden right now, and we'll show you as much as we can. And so you may see us switching. We did this last hour, too, all the way to Israel with Vice President Vance. We'll be switching between the cameras that we can get a live shot via satellite on, kind of taking you behind the scenes here, but it's worth telling you, because as we get those pictures, we're just going to pop them up. Brad.
Yeah, and listen, this Rose Garden Club is something that the president really wanted to do, and he has the music. He plays the music when he has dinner out there. He's the DJ with the with the iPad. He's got the whole thing, and it's an eclectic mix, as you can
it's all over the board.
Yeah.
Let me tell you,
little Elvis, little
REM, Phantom of the Opera, Cats. He's been known to go all over the place with it. He is a big Elvis fan, and my favorite, we talked about it on my show last weekend, is whenever you see the superimposed picture of Donald Trump over Elvis's face. He goes back and forth. I think he likens himself to Elvis.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, the senators who are there, I think, are saying we are standing united. I know there's a little trepidation, though, because when you get to day 21, it's starting to hit. You know, there are checks that are being missed.
Right.
And while they think that they have the political upper hand, it's still, you know, people are hurting. And so I think that there's an effort to get to a solution sometime.
Yeah.
By the way, the word on the street, and we talked about this all weekend, and it's continued through here in the military, in the government, is that it's going to go through the first week of December. That is what everyone who are not receiving their paychecks, that's what they are expecting.
And that's why it's so critical, too, Kaylee, that the president has talked about funding for those military members. I would imagine they'll get to the air traffic controllers if they can. I mean, you saw through DOJ, there were some things that were cut. I don't know if they're big enough to cover this sort of a thing, if it's a protracted shutdown. But you're starting to see some, and I love the way, Brett, you were talking about it. Look, the Republicans see the need to talk about some of these issues, just now isn't the time.
Yeah, I do think, you know, one Trump official said it could end this week. I've heard predictions, to Emily's point, it could go on much longer. We'll see. We know the pain increases every day. I do want to underscore the point that Laura made, because I think it's a really important one. Just the moment we're at politically for President Trump and how different this administration is. I mean, he just achieved a Middle East peace deal. He's had the big, beautiful bill that's gone through. You see this massive show of unity. I just saw Josh Hawley, Lindsey Graham, all the senators from across the Republican caucus are there. And it's so different from last time around when you had Mueller in that report that really dragged down the administration. You had career civil servants. I remember reading a Washington Post article about how they wanted to resist the Trump administration in their first term, and they're actually former Obama officials aiding them in that endeavor. You had the Obamacare vote, and we remember the thumbs down, and that didn't get repealed. And this administration is just winning. They're putting up W's every day, and Democrats would be wise to come to the table and partner with them and fix this and work on solutions.
It just sounds so crazy at this point, because they're pushing against some people who voted for President Trump. I mean, we know how many disaffected people who were independents and Democrats voted for the current president. You can look at the numbers and tell the percentages, but you talk to people and they'll tell you.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.